Welcome to the After the Show Movie Podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Ascully and Cidtalk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello, Cidtalk. Welcome to After the Show. It's good to have you.
Thanks. I zoned out within like the 10 seconds between the time you saying we're going to start.
I'm getting worried about you.
I mean, zone out as in I zoned into something else. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you weren't ready, but now you are.
I am ready, yes.
All right. What was the before the after the show discussion?
Before the after the show discussion was this movie.
It was.
Extensively. And then we had to say, oh, we have to stop because we need to make sure.
We were having like an in-depth conversation about this movie, and I was like, we need to record this. Stop. Let's be quiet.
Exactly.
So we'll get at it again. There's an ice cream man outside.
There's an ice cream man.
So if you hear like sinister music, that's what it is.
I'm going to give you a bonus advice from me. It's just an advice, but just to be aware that we don't all have the same shared childhood experiences. Someone said in a show or a movie the other day, we all remember when the ice cream truck came around. No, we don't. I lived in a small town. There was no fucking ice cream truck. There was nothing like that at all. And if anyone remembers that, they're lying because my town didn't have that. There's one food truck now that might go around the area. Right. When it's in the other, that's it. I mean, this is 50 years later.
Let me give you my savory ice cream truck story. It was like in the early 80s, 70s, 80s. When the ice cream truck came around, my granddad used to say, Paul, go and get an ice cream. And he'd reach in his pocket and he'd give me some change. And he'd say, also get me some cigarettes.
Oh, God.
Because the ice cream truck sold cigarettes.
Oh, my God.
So I would get this, and don't tell grandma you're getting cigarettes. So I'd get the cigarettes and the ice cream, and I'd be happy, and he'd be happy, and that would be great.
Oh, my goodness. This seems... I mean, I'm not saying I wasn't able to get cigarettes and beer at the store from my parents when I was a kid, but wow, okay.
So that's what I associate with ice cream trucks.
This is the childhood we lived.
All right, Saturday, July the 6th. Happy Independence Day, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. We celebrate all the July numbers here with fireworks every single night. I mean, we don't, but our neighbors seem to.
We do not. I've never liked fireworks, so anybody can complain about that if they want.
Yeah. So
I don't think it is the only expression of being proud of your country is to blow shit up and spend a lot of money. But hey, you do you.
And if you're a neighbor of ours and you're listening, stop setting fireworks
They're
off.
not listening.
Thank you. Well, good. I'm glad. All right, Saturday, July the 6th. This is After the Show 846. We're a movie review podcast, and every week we look at a new movie. This week's no exception as we look at the movie I Saw the TV Glow. It's a 2024 release, out now, rated R. The runtime's an hour and 40 minutes, and it's from our friends at A24. You know what that means, Cidtalk.
You already loved it before it even started?
Well, it means I'm like A24, my ears prick up, don't they?
Yes.
So, Cidtalk, give us a synopsis of the movie I Saw the TV Glow.
Oh, a synopsis. It's like a coming of age and also awakening into the reality of existence kind of movie with a couple of young people and a TV show. Is that what's on the box? It has to be what's on the box.
I don't think it is. This is what's on the box. Two teenagers bond over their love of a supernatural TV show, but it is mysteriously cancelled. That's not actually 100% true, though.
No. That's not part. I mean, that's woven in.
I mean, it is cancelled, but not mysteriously. It just gets cancelled at some point.
Who writes these boxes? I need that. I'm retired from my old job. Let me get that as my new job.
I think it's AI.
You reckon?
It just skims the movie and then says something.
Well, I am not artificially intelligent, so I can't do that job.
All right. So,
or am I?
Cidtalk, I Saw the TV Glow. What did you think?
Loved it. The end.
See, I didn't know whether you loved it or not yet. I mean, we have discussed it.
Okay, yes. What did you think I wouldn't love?
I'm not sure. Don't know.
Here's why I loved it. because, okay, there's one scene where they're watching the show. So the show is like a sort of Twin Peaks mixed with Salvador Dali with weird 90s Nickelodeon television.
I would watch it for sure.
All wrapped up into one. So some interesting things going on this TV show they're watching. And there's one scene where there's a side shot of them staring at the TV and the glow is on their faces. And one of them starts to cry slowly and then turns to sobbing as they're watching. And I don't give a shit anymore if people turn their nose up at things like this, but I was a TV child. I was raised in the 60s and 70s. My beloved television was my best friend. It is what it is. I don't give a shit anymore what anybody thinks. And I have had experiences watching movies and television shows where that came over me. Whoever wrote this and whoever's doing this is talking to me. Like it's awakening something and it's touching something in my mind. Yes.
That's actually part of the premise of this film.
Absolutely. And so that moment I was like, even if it's one of those movies that's going to challenge people, right? It's got some
it's not straightforward.
No, it's a little bit like, what the hell's going on? But I understand the foundation from my perspective. Now the director writer has different intentions, but my interpretation will say is that it's really about that. Things in this world, including television entertainment or whatever, have tapped into who I really am.
Yeah.
Not who the world's trying to tell me to be. Because it's really hard when you're not like everybody. It's really difficult. It's a challenge, right? That's not being whiny. I'm just telling you. And if you don't know what I mean, then you're not one of us. You know what I mean? It's really challenging. And when anyone, anywhere, all of a sudden says a thing and your brain catches on fire like, oh my God, that's in my head. No one else has ever said it. No one's ever told me it's okay to think that. No one in front of me has ever mirrored something inside of me, but you are. And I don't care if it's entertainment or fantasy or documentary or me watching Forensic Files or finding a man 5,000 miles away, like Ascully. That something between us, like our love of the X-Files. When we first started talking, this 1998 on the old internet, old-timey internet in the 1900s.
We had a string and 2 cans.
Yes, we did. And there was something like, oh my God, you sit religiously in front of the X-Files every week and turn off the lights and you don't want anybody to bother you. And you can talk about it as if it's, again, a lot of people think it's ridiculous, but when you find someone who gets you, everything else melts away. And that is what this movie brought up for me.
You know what I really liked? The scene at the beginning where he was younger and he first meets Maddie. And he says, oh, have you watched the TV show? What's the TV show called again?
Pink Opaque.
The Pink Opaque. And he's like, no, I've not watched it. And then he goes and sits over there in the, like I can't speak to this person anymore because we don't have anything in common.
Mm.
You know? And he goes and sits sadly in the corner, and I was thinking, yeah, that's like the thing where, you go and sit in the corner and you're like, no, I want to go and watch this and then come back and discuss it with this person.
Right. It's like he was aware of the show and really wanted to watch it, but it was on after his bedtime. Yeah. And he's, okay, I don't identify with this part of these two people's growing up because
I do.
I didn't have a bedtime. I was the youngest of 4, 10 years behind everyone. Again, it was the 70s. My mom was working. I mean, if I went to bed at 3 a.m, as long as I got up for school and didn't complain, we're all good, right? But he had a bedtime of 10:15, even when he was in 9th grade, which is ridiculous, right? But that was part of his problem. And he's telling her, I can't watch it. And then he has to do some subterfuge, lying to his parents to be able to watch this 30-minute TV show. He had seen advertisements for it. And that's why when he sees her have the episode guide, he's like, oh, And then she's so into it. It confirms that he, whatever he saw in those advertisements, he wants to see. And then that kind of bonds them together.
And this was kind of advertised. If you look at the poster and the trailers and stuff, it was almost advertised like a horror movie, but I don't think it is a horror movie.
Not at all.
And it kind of comes off creepy at the beginning. But as soon as you get into it, you're like, okay, that's not what it is. Yeah, inside this TV show, there's a bad guy and there's good guys, and
There's no good guys.
There's nothing scary going on, really.
Right.
Apart from weird imagery every now and then, right? Like strange.
Yeah.
Lynchian. Somebody said.
Yeah, when you present something that is not, like you said, it's not a straight line. It's linear in terms of we go from him being a young person to growing up, but
Right.
You have to let your mind go to understand that this scene when his head's in the TV and his dad pulls him out and he's trying to get in, and then there's like this glow of something trying to grab him, and then he's vomiting out some sort of sparkly stuff, but then we just go back to him working at the fun fair thing.
It's literal, not literal. It's
right.
more,
you have to be like, what? You have to think about, like, and then that's it. We don't get an explanation. There's no like wrapping up that scene nice and tidy. There's a big chunk of exposition, which I love, and her telling her story while she's away from him for 10 years, right? I love that scene when they're in the big...
That was very good, yeah.
Oh,
with
my
the projection
goodness.
on the face, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like zoom in on her, and she's talking for like 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
About her experience having whatever had been going on with her for the last 10 years. I loved that. But you don't get a lot of that throughout the whole. You just have to
I also like
let it
when
go.
our main character, Owen, occasionally just looks at the camera and tells us something.
Yes.
That sometimes bugs me in movies, but in this movie, it just felt it was right for it.
And you know why? Because later in the movie, she addresses that and says, do you ever think that you're just narrating your own life?
Right.
Do you think that was real when we were watching that show? Questioning like the blurred line of reality. And then you're like, oh, that's why in his head, he's narrating his life a bit, because that's what a lot of entertainment does.
And how it can all meld together.
Yeah.
So you're in your young years growing up, you latch onto something on TV. It becomes so like you're into it. Like there's a line between it and you. That's what this movie's really going for.
And about whether or not you understand the difference between that fantasy and reality.
Yeah.
And in this movie, reality becomes a thing that rips your heart out, feeds you the magic potion, which like drink the Kool-Aid, take the thing, and become a boring nothing in the world. And your heart is buried somewhere or in a freezer somewhere, and you are buried underground alive, but you're alive. And one scene that really shows it off is he's working at one of those fun palaces, with the balls and the pits and the...
Dave and Buster's.
Yes. And there's like these grown men come out in their vests, the manager guy, and they're singing happy birthday to some stupid kid. And he's looking around, and then he starts screaming like, somebody help me. Right? Because that's the reality of your heart getting sucked out of you. And you're plunked into this life where it's just expected that you do the most mundane, mind-sucking, soul-crushing, boring shit for the rest of your life. This is what I see. I'm liking this movie more as I talk about it.
I really like it. It operates on a lot of different levels. Clearly, afterwards, the first thing I said to you was, whoever made this movie loves Twin Peaks.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not a coincidence.
Even I picked up on it, and I rarely pick up on references, but I was like, oh, that's very David
Some people
Lynchian.
might say it's too much. Like, it's too much Twin Peak imagery, like, because it's very on the nose kind of thing.
But that taps into
what this person who directed it.
Not just that, but like you loved Twin Peaks as a younger person, not a child, but in your young
I
adult.
still love it to this day.
Right. And the impact, it's woven into your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so putting in references to other entertainment totally makes sense in this one.
If you're a Twin Peaks fan, you'll notice a lot of things. And it's not just like, oh, maybe it's a little bit like it. It's like, oh, no, that's a Twin Peaks thing. But that also makes sense because Twin Peaks, the TV show, existed in this, is it a dream? Is it real? Where are we? What time is it? That kind of thing. And this movie does the same. It operates in the same way. Like it's dreamlike. It is, isn't it? It's even got a vibe, this movie, of it's not upbeat at all, is it? It's very...
Oh, no.
Very somber and mellow. Sometimes disturbing, sometimes just nothing, just people just looking at
Yeah.
something. Or I like that. I like that vibe. The whole thing about it was pretty cool. And there is a message also about like finding yourself and your sexuality and what actually you might be in life, and not understanding because you're young, like what you are, who you
So I
are.
think that applies to everything. So
Yeah.
not being a person, I mean, I think finding who you are, finding who I am, still, I'm 56, still doing it. I am going upstream in a world that's going the complete fucking opposite direction.
And that's what this highlights.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I have to be able to find, either I find a way to go the same direction, but not be one of them, or just keep going this way, but not as a struggle, right? I can just slice right through, go upstream and be fine. As a whole person, all the stuff that has to do with me, how I express myself, what I think, how I process the world, everything from politics to religion to like just normal conversation, where I just don't seem to fit anything. That is what I got from this, is like, there is something in you that's like, you're going to be dead someday. And that's part of the theme as well. Like, you're basically buried alive before you ever die.
Right.
You're buried in the life that you drains you. Right. And I have felt that. And so I try to fight against that.
Yeah. So this movie operates on a bunch of different levels, and I don't think it'll appeal to everybody.
No.
Because Twin Peaks doesn't appeal to everybody.
Are we going to be snotty and say it's because they don't understand it?
Well, I don't know, actually, because I've watched Twin Peaks so many times, and I'm, 55 years old almost, and I still don't 100% get it. I just like it. I've delved into it. I've delved into the theories but it's an overall vibe, Twin Peaks. And I think that's what this movie is.
That's what I love about Twin Peaks, that when we watched the latest series, and we watched it all, like we caught up, we watched all of it, right?
Yeah.
And kind of like X-Files for me, or any of the other nostalgic shows that I go back and watch, that actually, this is a theme in the movie also. He goes back to watch this old show from their childhood, from the 90s. And he says it's cheap and kind of embarrassing because he actually sees what it is now.
Right.
And that it has woven itself into him so much, it's hard to accept, right? And we've said that many times. Maybe you shouldn't go back and watch that old movie. Maybe you shouldn't go back and play that old game.
Right.
Right. I have selectively chosen things to go back and watch, like MASH, WKRP in Cincinnati, things like that, where the qualities that appealed to me then still appeal to me now. And I can sort out the like, that part is a little cringy, but it doesn't crush me, right? It doesn't crush my memory of the thing.
Right.
For sure.
So yeah, that's, I really did enjoy it. And A24, again, not let me down. I didn't know what to expect, and I liked what the end result was.
Very good.
So let's get on to the cast. We've got Justice Smith, who plays Owen. What do you think of him?
Really good. And generally speaking, as a type of character that I am not fond of.
Kind of
wishy-washy and kind of like afraid of things and sort of just, but, then you have to take into account the struggle that's happening is not feeling that they fit into the whole of the world and not understanding,
I also have to mention Ian Foreman, who played the young version of Owen.
Oh, yeah. He was really good.
Yeah, he was. He's pretty much the opening of the movie, the first 10, 15 minutes. But he's really, really good.
Really good. And this guy plays the character exactly right. It's just that in life, people who are a little bit like tentative about things just don't, do much for me. But he did it perfectly. So that's good. And
we've got Bridget Lundy-Paine as Maddie. And Maddie's...
Yeah, really good because she's broken.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like the whole thing. Like the relationship between them is really good. There's a relationship between them.
Sure.
And it's this TV show and a shared thing. And
it's shared, but then we have to question it. It's kind of sweet
in a way. Like, exactly. Yeah.
Is it sweet, or is it that Maddie is so alone?
Yeah.
that And she does try through the course of things to get him to run away and get him to do the thing and get him to go with her to bury themselves alive. You know what I mean? Like, and he's hesitant because guess what? If you go Maddie's direction, you're just as lost as if you stay in the boring, mundane shit. And so he's still figuring out that middle ground. But she's that person who's like, I need you to understand everything about me and to go with me on this like self-finding journey. And I thought she did a great job, especially when she was reading that whole thing out.
I also like the scene on the bleachers where she said, look, I'm not into boys. You know that, right? What are you into? Are you into boys? And then he goes, I'm into TV shows.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that. And he's like, I don't know. I'm hollowed out on that subject, but I do like TV shows. I'm like, right on. I'm with you.
So yeah, that was cool. Fred Durst, I put him in. He plays Frankie's dad. Didn't know it was Fred Durst. I just saw Fred Durst's name in the credits. He was the lead singer of which band?
Limp Bizkit?
Yeah.
I only know that because you just said it earlier.
He did it all for the Nookie.
He did it all for the Nookie.
Yeah, so Fred Durst is in there, but I mean, he's got like one line in the movie and he's not very nice.
Well, we don't see him not being nice.
The comment he makes.
It's really generic. He's really generic. Yeah. And you can tell the mom is not a big fan of him. Just kind of that.
Directed by Jane Schoenbrunn, who directed We're All Going to the World's Fair and a short movie called The Eye Slicer. I've not seen either of these, but what do you think?
I really like this type of vibe.
It feels very personal also.
Yes, and you're on edge.
Yeah.
A lot of it is on edge and it is confusing. Yep. There are parts where you're like, are we going down the route of like, there is another dimension, like in Twin Peaks, where there's a whole other thing where this show could like be the reality.
Yep.
But then you don't feel, it's like a thin layer of that. And then the reality of reality is reality.
It's definitely
that's pretty deep. The reality of reality is reality.
The scene where the electric is arcing across the road when a telegraph pole thing has fell down. That's, like a bridge between worlds or something. There's something going on, isn't there?
I don't think so. I think there is no bridge of any kind.
No, I don't know.
I think reality is it. And that's why it's so disturbing.
Well,
that if in your mind you can function, do whatever. Like he even says at one point, I became a productive, person in society, which I think is what everybody kind of boils it down to. Like, am I just literally going to sit here in this room and let the world pass me by and have all my needs met by whatever means, and I don't ever do anything because I'm too afraid or it's intimidating? Or do I just go along with the stuff, which I think is what he's done?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that.
Yeah, he's chose life as
he's chosen.
No, I'm referring to Trainspotting. Choose life, choose a fucking big television.
Oh, yes.
He's literally doing that in that scene.
Oh, that's true.
We have that poster on the wall downstairs.
We do. Because, you struggle all your life for money. You're chasing money all your life and then you die. What song is that from?
You struggle all your life and then you die.
You're chasing money.
Yeah.
You spend all your life chasing money and then you die. It's a British song.
A British song.
It may not be those exact words.
Is it the Beatles?
No.
Is it the Verve Bittersweet Symphony?
I think it is.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm pretty good at guessing.
You win.
You'll just say some vague lyrics and I'll pick up on it within about 30 seconds.
You mean like I just did?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We do that a lot. You'll wake up and go, I was dreaming about this song. And you'll say like 3 things and I'll go, hold on a minute.
Is it that?
And then I'll tell you and you go, yeah, that's it.
Or do you know that guy in that one movie?
And I'll go,
was it Tom Cruise? I'm like, yes.
So
we're
weird.
off topic, but
is that telepathy?
You know what this is? This is us making our life.
Yeah.
Instead of swimming along the stream.
Yeah.
With all the schlubs. I even told you yesterday, didn't I? Oh my God.
Schlub it up, motherfucker.
I had a confession. I'll confess to all of you as well. So here you go.
All right.
It's not horrible or anything. So I don't want to oversell it. We were sitting in the parking lot at the grocery store. We had just gone for a bike ride. So we were sweaty and out of my bikey clothes and, looking ramshackled. And I'm sitting there kind of looking at people coming and going. And this is what I do every time I go to any store or go any place. If I'm going to an event or anywhere where there are people coming and going, even at work, I would go to work at 6 a.m. I'm retired now, and watch people going in and out of the building. And I actually have, and I always have. Well, I remember sitting in my car in high school. Not my car. I would drive my mom's car to school sometimes. I don't want to oversell that either, or my friend's car, and sit there and watch people going in like zombies, and thinking and still thinking, oh, I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the schlub. I don't want to be the mindless blah plodding along. And then you started watching and you're like, oh yeah, people do look like that. And I'm like, I don't want to be that. It's like, can I make everyone disappear, please, while I walk in the store alone? Or I don't know what it is. It's a thing I've had my entire life that I don't want to be in that stream,
And then I purposely watched you go into the store.
And did I look like all the other?
You were trying hard not to.
Oh, I do. I look around. And you said somebody's wobbling. I'm like, don't talk about wobbling because I'm a wobbler. I also limp a little bit. I've got that middle-aged thing going on, but I try really hard to and this is ridiculous, right? It's a ridiculous thing to have in your mind.
Yes.
It's a lifelong thing that I have. So I still have it, but this movie kind of plays into that.
All right. IMDB reviews. What are those?
Those are reviews of other movies. Someone says, I'm giving it a 1 star because it's a waste of time. And you love to read them.
First guy says, this is not a horror movie. This is not a horror movie. Not remotely close to a horror movie. It's a teen drama about misunderstood youth. It was a waste of my time.
Waste of my time. It's a classic.
Always one of the first in the...
Always.
Second person says, ignore the great reviews. This movie is stupid.
Just plain stupid.
I get the idea. Yes, I get the symbols of what the movie means, but it doesn't make it a good movie. It sucks. Go and watch Eden Lake or Saw if you want a good horror movie.
Oh my goodness. Eden Lake is terrifying.
I mean...
It's very different.
The third person says, this isn't a horror movie. They categorized it as horror, so I watched it and it wasn't horror. What the actual F is this movie? It's stupid. See, these 3 reviews are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, and they've been okay. This is why I love sitting down in our little movie theater in our basement, and the screen turns on, and I don't know week to week what we're going to be watching. I have no expectations unless you've told me, and then I'm like, See, I don't like that feeling of oh, I'm not in the mood for that today.
I don't generally tell you.
You don't, and that's the best way, because then I'm just sitting there oh, what is this? And then I'm on the ride, I'm along for the ride.
Yeah.
Expectations are the killer of joy.
That's true.
I know. Someone else said it. I just am repeating it.
And fear is the mind killer.
Oh.
That's from Dune.
It's correct.
Yeah. Let's give this movie a score. We didn't see any extras because we watched the streaming version. But I'm going to give I Saw the TV Glow an 8 out of 10.
I'm giving it an 8.8.
Well, we liked it.
I really liked it. I'm not saying that's because it's, there's any quality that anyone else might measure it by, but because it lit up in me this understanding and that feeling that she had in that scene where it's like, oh my God, you really are not alone.
Yes.
No matter how over there you are. There are larger groups of people who seem to go along with a lot of the same things, but if you are not them, you are still not alone. So that's kind of how.
All right. So thank you to A24. Next week, we're looking at something completely different, and it's Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F.
And now for something completely different.
Yes.
It's not different, really. We've seen Beverly Hills Cop.
Completely different from this movie.
Maybe I should watch those again.
Maybe skip the third one?
Don't know. Why not watch it if it's part of the mythos or
Maybe
mythos?
you watch them all this week and then...
Or just read the recaps.
Yes. All right, movie recommendations.
I just realized, what if watching Beverly Hills Cop is one of those things? Because when I watched it originally, I laughed my ass off. It was like one of those movies I probably watched 100 times on HBO, right? Because it was so hilarious. But if I watch it now and I'm like, ugh,
Will you be laughing at the banana in the tailpipe scene?
I don't think so, because it's probably not that funny.
Do you think the new movie will do a banana in a tailpipe scene?
I mean, it has to, right? If we're coming back 25 years later.
Probably.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
It'll be one of those nostalgia-filled things. I feel like I've not seen Eddie Murphy forever, so I'm interested to see it.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
All right, movie recommendations. I am going with Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, and it's the movie version of Twin Peaks by David Lynch. This movie even has some shots taken from that movie, and I don't think the director would disagree. Also, Blue Velvet, another one. The opening scene to Blue Velvet always resonated with me. You remember it?
I never watched it.
It zooms in into a suburb similar to this with a white picket fence, right? Perfect America suburbia.
Okay.
And the camera goes down under the ground, and then there's just like maggots, just
Okay.
in a David Lynch way. So
Okay.
it's like,
Maybe I should watch it.
it's like when you look with your eyes, everything seems nice. But if you look twice,
It's
you see
not.
it's all lies.
Oh, what's we're just like really spewing out the
If
references
you know
today.
what that is, let me know on Twitter. Somebody must know what that is. I won't tell you. All right.
Wouldn't we say Tim Burton is also a little bit David-esque because
Mm,
you know what I mean? He wants things like Edward
Like
Scissorhands, for
mainstream.
example.
David Lynch. Kind of.
Oh, I get you. Somebody
Yeah.
trying to okay.
All right. And those are mine. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me and Blue Velvet.
Mine are from the 20th century. That's from 1900 to 1999. And yes, I was alive through some of those years. Actually, quite a lot of those years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're either action adventure or I forget the other one. The Black Castle, which is like an old-timey horror movie from the 50s. And it has like Lon Chaney Jr. and Boris Karloff, all the standards, you know. Then I have Jaws 3D, Jaws, and Jaws 2.
Right.
There's all the horror of, you know, a franchise going to 3D. If that's not horrible enough.
Yeah.
Although I did watch Jaws 3D many, many times without any 3D glasses. I just watched it on the TV.
I've never seen it in 3D.
No, I don't think I have.
Just on the TV.
What
That's
if it's been reworked so you could, when you watch it, it looks 3D now? But I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know if it's worth it. And The Ruins, which
I like
You know.
that one.
it was all right. You liked it more than I did.
Kind of gross. A bit gross.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ascully stuff. I've been playing one game, Life is Strange 2. You've not seen any of it, so you don't know anything about it. Cidtalk.
Strange people are strange.
You remember Life is Strange? We watched I played one and you watched it. Life is Strange True Colors. The girl who was an empath.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is another one of those games.
Okay.
It's about two brothers. One of them happens to have a superpower, and the other brother has to protect him.
Okay.
I've only played the opening of it, but something terrible happens at the beginning, and they have to go on the run. Basically, these two one's about 10, the other one's about 14. They have to go on the run, and he has to protect his brother basically because nobody has to know that he's got superpowers. It's like a story-based game. I got it in the Steam sale for like $3, and I've been playing it on the Steam Deck, and it runs really well on the Steam Deck.
Is it worth $3?
It's absolutely worth $3
Fantastic.
because I'm only about an hour into it, and it's like 15 hours long apparently. So
And also, speaking of, is it worth it? Shout out to your sister-in-law
shout out.
who gave us an Amazon gift card to buy you some birthday presents, and we got some camping gear.
We used it for bike packing stuff.
Well, camping gear.
Yes,
You could camp without the bike. We're just going to happen to ride a bike.
that's true.
So there you go.
All right, dinner. Thank you to my sister-in-law for camping
Generous, very generous.
yes. Dinner. What are we having for dinner?
Well, it's up to you. You're cooking it today.
Quesadillas. I'm going to make.
Quesadilla, very good. It only took you your whole life to figure out that 2 L's in Spanish.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, why?
Normally I would say what?
Quesadilla.
Quesadilla, tortilla, know.
And it's not.
jalapeno.
I had to take Spanish 3 times. Twice in high school. Oh, no. Once in high school. Didn't do well. Took it in college.
Yeah.
Failed. Had to take it again. So I'm telling you now, motherfuckers, 2 L's equals a Y.
Well, I didn't.
That is ingrained in my head. And if I can't, and just so you know, to clarify, I cannot speak Spanish. I just had to take it because I had to take it. I don't remember hardly any of it, but I remember that.
Sorry, I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
All right. Cidtalk, what's your advice? Let's get out of here.
My advice kind of goes with this movie and something that we might all be sold sort of this idea that, oh, everybody has a hard time when they're kids and goes through the same sort of crisis of self. No, I'm not convinced of that anymore. I think there are people who just get on through shit that there's not the same weights attached to the things that they need to process in order to move forward in life that other people have, right? I'm not saying anyone has an easy time of life. I don't believe that either, but I've watched people and observed. I don't think everyone I know has had a crisis of self or questioning of what they've been told to be. So what they become is what they were told to be. And now they're teaching that to their children or other generations that this is what you're supposed to be. And then you are, and then you die. I don't feel like I've seen people who don't seem to have any struggle with that. They're the ones going up down the stream with everybody else, right? Now, it could be hidden, and I don't know it. But I do not believe everyone goes through the same thing. I just don't. So, and that's not advice. That's just a hopeless observation.
Nice. All right, ascully.com. That's the place you can go to get this podcast. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find us on there. I'm Ascully, and you're Cidtalk.
I'm Cidtalk. Oh, hold on. I'm Cidtalk.
Yeah, and also, if you know what that quote was before, tell me on Twitter. Somebody will know it. And you can also go to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, anywhere that podcasts are available. Email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Cidtalk. She doesn't want your feedback or your email. And stay classy, A24. Keep bringing us these great movies.
Fantastic. And I'm going to say, think for yourself or someone is doing it for you.